Hello, this is Chapter 9, Online Retail and Services. Before getting into this chapter is the first in the series of Applied E-Business. Chapters in Part 4. This part, entitled E-Business is in Action, focuses on understanding the realistic operating environment for e-commerce in 4 different sectors. Number 1, retail and services. Number 2, online content. Number 3, social networks, auctions and portals. And number 4, B2B, e-commerce. The opening case, Blue Nile sparkles for your Cleopatra, describes Blue Nile, an online retail site that specializes in diamonds. Who would buy a diamond on the web? How could you trust the quality? How could you buy a diamond without seeing it? Blue Nile has some answers. It is the largest online diamond merchant. Other questions for discussion on this case might include the following. Why is selling or buying diamonds over the internet difficult? How has Blue Nile built its supply chain to keep costs low? How has Blue Nile reduced consumer anxiety over online diamond purchases? What are some vulnerabilities facing Blue Nile? Would you buy a $5,000 engagement ring at Blue Nile? Now, what's new in online retail? Today, fast or slow followers replace first movers to exploit the innovations developed during the early years of e-commerce. This means that established retailers with powerful national brands and international scope of operations increasingly dominate the online retail landscape. Chapter 9 begins with the retail sector. Section 9.1 summarizes e-commerce in the retail sector. The baseline is a 17.8 trillion economy. The retail sector is huge. Personal consumption of goods and services accounts for about 68% of the United States gross domestic product. Online retail is a robust and viable business. Price competition has increased, but price dispersion has not disappeared. Customers appear to be willing to pay extra for trusted brands, and there are many opportunities for branding on the web. Social and local commerce and the mobile platform are creating even more new opportunities. Let's analyze the viability of online firms. Section 9.2 describes how to perform a strategic and financial analysis. This is a very important part that is directly related to your term project. We are interested in characterizing the viability of online firms over an intermediate horizon of a 3-year period. To do this, we will look at the firm's strategic situation and its operating results over the previous 3 years. In the strategic analysis, we will look at both industry level and firm level factors. The financial analyses are based on firm's most recent annual reports on Form 10-K, filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, with updates to the most recent quarter if available. The most recent results can be obtained at sec.gov. Look for Form 10-Q filing for the latest quarter. Generally, we will look at the firm's net margins over time to understand how well the firm is performing and whether or not the firm is scaling. We'd like to see net margins improve over time positively as firms achieve size and scales of economy in their operations. Firms that fail this test are in serious difficulty even if revenues are growing rapidly. On the balance sheet, we look first at whether the firm's current assets exceed current liabilities and by how much. Obviously, if a firm cannot pay current liabilities, it is a candidate for bankruptcy. Second, we look at the long-term debt and growth. In some cases, long-term debt can become a significant liability for a firm as interest payments consume operating profits. With this strategic and financial analysis in mind, let's take a look at an e-commerce in action, e-tailing business models. In this section, we examine 4 different types of e-commerce retail business models. It is important for you to understand how each of these different types of business models offer different opportunities as well as risks. Now the topic of common themes in online retailing. This section provides an overview of the common themes that emerge from looking at the different types of e-tailing business models in the previous section. In general, established retailers with substantial existing infrastructure have the advantage over here. However, They also face problems of integrating their web and offline operations, coordinating channels and avoiding channel conflict, and achieving profitable online operations without subsidies from the offline operations. Obviously, Amazon and a few other offer exceptions to the overall trend. Another important trend, as noted above, is the growth of social, local, and mobile commerce. Now let's take a look at the Insight on Technology case, Big Data and the Predictive Marketing. It discusses uses by retailers of big data in their marketing efforts. Questions for discussion on this case might include the following. How does big data enable predictive marketing? Are there any drawbacks to the increasing use of predictive marketing? Have you experienced predictive marketing in your own shopping? If so, what was the experience like? Were suggestions accurate and helpful? The next topic is online services. Understanding the prospects of e-commerce in the service sector requires you to understand some of the dynamics that operate in various service industries. Some transaction brokering service industries, such as stock brokerage, travel services, and job listing services, appear to be uniquely suited to e-commerce because they create value from exchanging information, something the web is good at. Services that have a hands-on component, including banking that requires physical signatures, ATMs, and other in-person services, are not as well suited to pure online solutions. However, these hands-on services can benefit from online sites as an adjunct to their physical brick-and-mortar presence. This suggests that big banks with brand names and existing franchises can successfully migrate some of their consumer relationships to the web. We live in a service economy. The service sector is dominated by financial services. Service industry in general are information intensive and personalized, making them good candidates for e-commerce. Let's take a look at online financial services. Online banking is a tremendous success. In contrast, the impact of e-commerce on mortgages and lending, insurance, and real estate has been somewhat different. In general, these internet sites have attracted millions of shoppers but not as many buyers. Most web visitors are shopping for prices and terms or other information such as pictures of houses for sale and then purchase offline, although this is beginning to change. Nevertheless, the presence of alternative online suppliers has dropped prices for insurance and loans and created a more competitive environment. Online travel services. Online travel services are one of the most popular uses of internet by online shoppers. The industry dynamics are highly volatile with suppliers, airlines, rental companies, hotels, seeking to eliminate intermediaries such as travel agents and global distributors. E-commerce will seem to tilt the competition towards suppliers who can build direct relationships with consumers on the internet. Yet, online intermediaries like Travelocity and Expedia have done a lot in aggregating online audiences. Let's take a look at phony reviews case. It looks at some of the issues surrounding the increased reliance consumers are placing on social media, such as user-generated reviews, in making discussion about the travel services. Have you ever written a review or used reviews to make decisions about travel services? Do you trust all the reviews you read? And if not, what factors do you use to distinguish those which you do trust from those which you do not trust? Other questions for discussion might include the following. Should there be any repercussions to individuals and or businesses for posting false reviews of products or services? Can phony reviews be recognized and moderated? Do you rely more on certain types of reviews or comments on websites and blogs over others? Another business application is online career services. Have you ever posted a resume on Monster.com or another online job site? While online recruitment sites have grown in size and visits, there are many competing ways to find a job, many of which are more successful than online postings. Most jobs are local and personal networks, along with the newspaper classifieds and phone calls, remain the most common way people find jobs. You need to understand that online job sites have their limitations. In bad times, there are few jobs offered and millions of job seekers. Now, the on-demand service companies. This section of the book focuses the emergence of on-demand service companies such as Uber and Airbnb, and makes the point that these companies are big business and involve a collection of fees from both buyers and sellers, rather than a free sharing of resources. Table 9.9 lists some additional examples. Finally, let's take a look at insight on business case. Food on Demand, Instacart and Grubhub examines two of the most prominent startups in the on-demand food services marketplace. Questions for discussion include the following. What features or practices have made Instacart successful? What challenges do grocery and meal delivery services face? Have you used any grocery and meal delivery services? If so, what was your experience? Thank you.